Welcome to this T49 replay played by Alienslive from NOXUS on Radshire, and we're going to see what Alienslive can do on this map. Actually, it's the encounter mode, so the cap is actually in the middle, which is a good thing for the T49 because it means that enemies have to come closer for you to shoot at, and aliens will take this battle pretty slow at the start, which is how you should really play this tank. Because it's got a really powerful 152mm derp gun, but if you meet any tier 8 light tank, it will probably do a lot of damage to you or outright kill you because you just can't put enough fire in. As you can see, he's got 2 gun barrel marks on this thing, so he's actually played it quite a lot and seems to quite like it as well. It was an entertaining match to watch, especially once the battle actually gets going, but at the start he's just keeping Overwatch, seeing if enemies actually come up this hill, if he can spot something, potentially shoot something. And here comes one of the enemy victims, but it doesn't look like Aliens actually has a shot. I mean, there is a bug in the replay function, and it's been here since, I think, patch 9.15. where outlines don't actually show up a lot of times in the replay, which is a little bit annoying because it makes it hard to see as a viewer if the guy actually playing had a shot or didn't. But in this case he didn't actually have a shot on the Yak Panther 2, so he just sits there and waits. As you can see, his team is basically mostly deployed on the left side of the map, the heavy alley over there. And here we can see the enemy T49, so Aliens puts a pretty nice shot into the T49, does 407 damage, and that is what I mean with that you could be in trouble, because now he's done 407 damage to the T49, but if he done that to other tier 8 tanks, and if they'd been closer, then that other light tank would do I think 600 or 800 damage before he can actually reload, because the other light tanks reload so much faster. The object for 30 of the 2 of the enemy team is actually being pretty aggressive and moving up. So Aliens does the correct thing, which is to pull back. At least to not get proxy spotted by that guy, because that would not be pretty nice. But he still needs to sort of keep eyes on stuff, because he has a light tank, so it is still intrinsically his job to try and spot enemy tanks for the friendly artillery. So he does that, he proxies the 430 and then moves somewhere else. Now the enemy, or the friendly Scorpion, is being a complete, let's say, unintelligent player by trying to brawl in a Scorpion. That thing has no armor, has no camo, is the size of a double-decker bus. You do not go brawling with it. At first you snipe from the back, and then once the match has developed you might actually go into brawling. That was a very funny shot though. He tried aiming for that T32 and he actually killed the T49 that he shot earlier, which was hidden in front of the T32, so I guess that guy, at least the T32, was glad that that guy was there, so because he didn't take any damage. Still, damage is damage, kill is a kill, so not too shabby a result. Friendly AMAX 120 is in a bit of a pinch. He killed the object 430, but he's got maybe 2 shells left at this point, and while the cap there is not a safe location, but well, it's a relatively safe location, but it's also a location you can't really retreat from, so being there is not much use in an autoloader. Alienslive puts a pretty nice shot into the side of the T28 prototype, doing 350 damage, and there we can see the AMX 120 got basically shotted by Arty, and that's a problem. Once you're there and if you're spotted, there's not really many directions you can run to, especially not if the enemies take the castle in E1, because then they've got side shots on you if you try to get out of there, and the enemies on the hill in like G8 area, E8 area have shots on you as well if you try to get out on the other side. So you sort of move yourself into a dead end if you go that way, which is never smart. So I would advise any player to maybe go there quickly and then retreat again, but don't stay down there if there's still a lot of enemy tanks around, because you're just setting yourself up to be overrun. Meanwhile, Alienslive's team has lost quite a lot of tanks. We can see T32 there now. Alienslive puts a really nice shot into the turret. I mean, against T32s, it's quite a nice tank, because T32's hull down are notoriously hard to actually damage, but with this gun it doesn't really matter. You just shoot them in the face with HE and still do damage. You don't have to penetrate. So puts a nice 303 damage roll into the Yak Panther 2 and retreats behind the bushes. And this location is quite nice. You can put up quite a nice last stand from here against a numerical superior enemy team, because you've got some nice bushes and some nice ridges to work with. And we can see this T28 going downhill. No clue what he was thinking. Probably, oh, easy kill on the TVP VTU, but that's rarely the case in these kinds of engagements, especially if you're like a one-shot. You play relatively passively. Even in a T28 prototype with supposedly good armor, it's not good when you show your side to an HE spamming tank. You'll still take a lot of damage. And now we can see this IS. Pretty much, yeah, he has full health, so Aliens takes his time aiming. Shoots a nice shot into him, and then he sees two heavy tanks coming his way. So it's time to move again, and it's looking relatively bleak with one actual tank, 3 RT versus 2 tanks, 2 TDs and 3 enemy RT. So he just gets out of there. He is the most useful tank on his team at the moment. KV4 destroys the RT, but the RT actually managed to kill the IS. And Aliens actually finishes this Yak Panther 2 off and retreats further. As you can see, the Lorraine RT is in a bit of a pinch, because he's getting attacked by the KV4 and the Borsig, which apparently popped up there. But Aliens needs to get out of there, because if he remains there, he will at least take 1 shot of damage, and you can never use that in a light tank, because light tanks take module and crew damage like mad once you get hit. So he does the right thing, he gets out of there, even though that means that he is letting his friendly RT die, but there's really nothing he could do about that unless he wants to take a lot of damage himself. So again, he does the light tank play, which is to actually take range. You've got superior spotting range, and you've got quite a nice gun. Despite this gun being pretty inaccurate, it's actually not too bad for sniping, because you don't really, it doesn't really matter where you hit enemy tanks if with this gun, unless it's like paper tanks, but generally like heavy armored enemies in the side, it doesn't really matter where you hit them. You'll do like 300 damage on average anyway, so just squeeze the shot off and then just relocate. So now this KV4 is coming in. Aliens takes aim, waits for him to get behind the tree and just shoots him in the face. Still gets spotted though, so that means that most probably the Borsig actually spots him. So what he does is he makes sure that he gets out of there, keeps weaving, because the enemy has still got 3 RT, which could easily wreck his day. And then he turns around. But to be honest though, I would have not driven over so much crap on the way back, because the RT is probably still looking in top-down view. So I would have potentially taken the same route back, because you've already crashed through a lot of stuff there, so might as well. And now he tries to go back to the dip again to get a nice position on the Borsig, but the Borsig is actually on his left. And paper tank, Borsig, and of course the gun snapshot into the stupid track of the Borsig, instead of actually hitting him in the hull and probably one-shotting him. So the Borsig actually managed to get a shot off. Both RTs fire and luckily miss. So that was really good for Alienslive, and he just gets the hell out of there again. Because you don't want to go brawling with a Borsig. He's got superior reload to you, and he might actually one-shot you in the next shot. It would have been, well, no, actually, he can't even a high roll in the Borsig with a 490 average gun. That would be something like 550 would be a high roll, I imagine. So he can't be one-shotted, but he can still be shot on fire and then burned down. So he just gets out of there. No use going to brawl with the Borsig. That is not your task. This is encounter mode, so even if the Borsig starts capping, it will take quite a long time for him to actually cap. So Aliens just gets a bit of range, tries to come from a completely different direction to throw off the Borsig, so as he's not aiming at him, which occasionally doesn't work. I've had that myself yesterday in a match, which was a bit annoying, and the enemies just randomly looking in the right direction and manages to one-shot you. But he tries to spot the Borsig. It's not working so far, so he moves up, and there we go, absolute super Borsig camo. Spots the light tank coming in, but he doesn't actually spot the Borsig, unfortunately. Borsig luckily dings off him, so now he knows that he's actually got the time. He can actually engage his Borsig. Takes a slightly different route to not actually give the arty a chance, but he has to make a shot, rams into the Borsig, reverses, and keeps moving because the two arties haven't fired. There goes one. Keep moving, keep weaving, and you should be despotted by now. So he's got 2 HE shells left, 4 heat shells and 3 premium HE. Premium HEs on this tank are quite nice. They've got a bigger splash radius, but in all other purposes they are pretty much the same. They've got the same damage, same penetration as the regular one, but they do more splash damage. So you've got a bigger splash radius, which means that you can damage more tanks when actually hitting. And if you, say for instance, hit the turret of a tank, since the splash radius is bigger, there's a bigger chance that you'll also hit the top of the hull, which is weakly armored, and do more damage. So it's still a nice shell, but in my opinion it doesn't really warrant the cost. I mean, you're better off shooting heat shells at most tanks if they're sort of medium armored, or if you can get the engine deck of, say, like a T125. You want to actually load heat, not HE, and then just try and shoot heat in the engine deck and do 750 damage, because the 150 penetration heat actually can penetrate engine decks of a lot of top tier tanks still. So, or like the rear, not necessarily engine deck. And he's got a really nice position here as well. To get overwatch on the artillery. He spots both of them, puts a shot in the Tiger P, but doesn't get spotted, so that's good. I mean, artillery at tier 10 can be notorious for still spotting you, or like tier 9 and 8 even, at ranges where you would expect arty to not be able to spot you, but luckily Aliens doesn't get spotted. This tank has quite nice camo when firing this big gun. You wouldn't actually expect it, but yeah, there kills another arty, and now it's just one arty left. So they know where he is. 2 tanks got killed from a certain direction, so Aliens does the right thing here, and he actually relocates, because the Tiger GV Tiger P is probably waiting for him, aiming in his direction behind the building. So if he comes around the building, there's a good chance that he might get one-shotted. So he does the right thing, and he actually moves around to the flank. He's still got 1 minute left, so there's no need. Well, there is a bit of a need to rush, but there's no need to overly rush. And here you can see what I mean. He does. I don't see a silhouette, but he actually sees this tank. Oh, there we go. I actually clicked, and he manages to kill the GV Tiger P with 54 seconds left on the clock. So all in all, a really good match in his T49. He actually has 2 gun marks, so really enjoying it. Some stats about this match. He got 1743 base XP for this match, 4750 damage more or less. He's got a Pascucci medal for the arty, Radley-Walters for 8 kills. Exactly 8 in this instance. High caliber, obviously, Top Gun and Tank Sniper, as well as the Kolobanovs. So yeah, all in all, a really solid match in this tank. I personally quite like this vehicle as well myself. I hope you did like the replay. If you did, feel free to rate it, subscribe to the channel, and see you guys next time.